This talk was given by Roshi Martin, guiding teacher of the Endless Path Zendo, a lay Buddhist community in Rochester, New York. Join our practice, in person or online, at endlesspathzendo.org.
So today is Saturday, October 18th. The Zendo is reopened after now our 15th annual Jataka session at the Vermont Zen Center, which ended this Wednesday morning. Today we will be finishing Hanshan's autobiography. But before we begin that, I'd like to say a little something because today is October 18th, 2025. This is no King's Day, so let's keep this in mind, and I'll try and reveal why. Roshi Kapleau once wrote, "The peach pit vows to become a peach. The acorn vows to become an oak. We vow to become Buddhas. In each case, the vow is to fulfill what we already fundamentally are. We live by vow." If I remember whatever I used to know about some things in the Bible, I believe it was Jesus who said, "Man does not live by bread alone." We live by our vows. We become Zen Buddhists by taking vows. We become Bodhisattvas by making vows. We repeat these vows at every formal practice. The many beings are numberless. I vow to free them all. Greed, hatred, and ignorance rise endlessly. I vow to abandon them all. Dharma gates are countless. I vow to wake to them all. Buddha's way is unattainable. I vow to embody it all. The United States of America is the first country in this world cycle to have become a nation by making vows. This is the source of our greatness. Our national vows are the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. We become Americans by vowing to do so. That is, by vowing to uphold these fundamental national vows. We vow to uphold these great documents, these vows. We remain Americans by living these vows. Those who through ignorance, malice, or the stupidity of entitlement think that they can turn their backs on our communal national vows of equality and justice for all, do themselves and the greatness of this country great harm, the potential greatness, even now, of this country. They do it great harm, terrible harm. Turning back the clock to what never was is a destructive fantasy. It's going against the flow of the universal energy of maturing, growing, fulfilling one's vows, the peach pit becoming a peach. Hakuin warned the Japanese nobility of his time that thinking that their godlike entitlements of wealth and power was simply their due and forgetting about the realities of karma would quickly land them in the hells. Our vows as Americans and as a nation are that all shall be equal under the law, and that no kings or tyrants shall rule over us. This is our vow. This is what the Revolutionary War was about. No matter how many times we fail to live up to this vow to its fullest, as long as we try again and do our best, the vow is upheld. No kings is today. We join with all good-hearted people of our nation to reiterate this truth. All are created equal. All are equal before the law. No kings, no tyrants. We uphold our vows. We are steadfast and true. And indeed, after this morning's teisho, Rose and I will be going to one of the No Kings gatherings here in Rochester. So onward to Hanshan and his 75th year, 1620 to 1621. In the spring of the first month, I came out of seclusion and complied with my attendant Guangyi's request that I explain again the Sutra of Complete Enlightenment and the Awakening of Faith. He also asked me to lecture on the 7 chapters of Zhuangzi Metaphysics, which I happily did. That summer, I began to suffer problems with my feet. The pain was often intense. While I was convalescing, Provincial Inspector Wu, who had been transferred to the post of Chief Justice of Guangdong, went to Kaoji to pay reverence to the Sixth Patriarch. Remember, that was where the Sixth Patriarch's monastery had been. He was so impressed by the repairs and renovations I had made to the monastery buildings, he announced his intention to become a Dharma protector of Kaoji. Accordingly, he wanted detailed biographical accounts of all the patriarchs and asked the monks there to request me to compose them. During my illness, I wrote these accounts, complete with appropriate eulogies. Kaoji was something else that I couldn't get out of my mind. 8 years had passed since my sorrowful departure from the Sixth Patriarch's beautiful monastery. Often I had received requests from the monks there to come back and live with them again. Even members of the local gentry and some officials too had written, asking me to return, but I'd always refused. Now, Chief Justice Wu also wrote to me, asking that I return to Kaoji, but this time I was able to refuse this request on the grounds that I was simply too ill to travel. The 76th year, 1621 to 1622. In the summer, I lectured on the commentary on the Lankavatara Sutra, and in the winter, once again, I was asked to return to Kaoji. This time, Superintendent Zhu and Chief Justice Wu came personally to formally request my return. Again, I declined because of my illness. The 77th year, 1622 to 1623. I continued to work on the essentials of the Avatamsaka Sutra and was finally able to complete my writing of this text. Again, Chief Justice Wu wrote to me, expressing his sincere desire that I return to Kaoji to retire. This time, at the request of official Chang of Shaoyang, his letter was delivered to me by the abbot of Kaoji Temple. Knowing that I could no longer decline the invitation, I agreed to return to Kaoji, and on the 10th day of the 11th month, I left Huangshan. During my return journey, I wrote poetry, met with many old friends. It was such a happy journey that as I crossed Dayu Peak, I thought my heart could not contain more joy. But then on the 15th day of the 12th month, I arrived at Kaoji, and when I saw the lines of people eagerly waiting to welcome and embrace me, my heart overflowed with happiness. Zen practice is not all grim. It opens the door to happiness. That's where we'll be going next. My new book, which is going to be out soon, is called Finding Your Buddha Smile. Coming home to what Zen is really all about. It's about the doorway to happiness and what does real happiness actually mean. Now, let me tell you, Master Hanshan's autobiography ends here. But the last year, 1623, I guess it was 1623 to 1623. That was the last year of his life. Is written by his disciple Fu Shan. So he would have been 77 going on 78 at that time. So here's the conclusion of Hanshan's autobiography. Master stayed in the Chon Hall at Kaoji. During the first month of his return, he devoted himself to expounding the Dharma. Many officials, gentry, disciples, and followers of all kinds came to Kaoji to pay their respects to him and listen to his wise instructions. That autumn, in the 8th month, Master summoned an attendant to carry an expression of gratitude to Chief Justice Su. As the attendant started to leave, Master said, "Good results can come only when the time is right. When the Buddhas and patriarchs preached the truth, they succeeded because people were ready to listen to it. If the cause is noble and the time propitious, the work will succeed. My lifetime's work is over. It is time for me to go back. It is time for me to go back." People who heard him thought he wanted to tell Chief Justice Wu that he intended to go back to Guangshan Mountain. But as we get it, that's not what he was saying. Master Hanshan then wrote a poem entitled Mid-Autumn Without Moonlight. Since the moon is particularly bright in mid-autumn, we understood that he was saying very soon death would close his eyes. Mid-autumn without moonlight. On the 4th day of the 10th month, District Magistrate Zhao Zhuanpu came to visit Master. The two of them chatted happily for the entire day, but Master's condition was clearly weakening. And when he asked Magistrate Zhao to select a suitable gravesite for him, the magistrate immediately promised to do so. After the magistrate departed, Master began to sicken. On the 6th day of the month, his attendant Guang Yi returned, and after seeing Master said that he had returned just in time. That same day, official Chang brought a physician. Master knew his time was near and that medicines were useless. He thanked the physician, but declined his help. On the 8th day of the month, the disciple Zhao Yi arrived. After he came out from visiting Master, he said that if he had arrived 2 days later, he would surely have come too late. On the 11th day of the month, Master said goodbye to official Chang. Then, after bathing, he burned incense and instructed his disciples for the last time. All worldly things are impermanent. Keep your minds fixed always on Buddha, he said. Hearing this, disciple Guang Yi cried, "Master, we need more guidance." Master Hanshan scolded him. "You have been my disciple for so long," he said sadly. "Why are you still confused? Have you learned nothing?" The master then sighed and said, "When the proclamations that come from the Buddha's golden mouth are regarded as old and worthless news, what value can my words have?" He refused to speak again. On the 12th day of the 10th month, which was Master Hanshan's birthday, many Buddhist followers gathered at the monastery. Prefect Chong came bringing a purple silk robe as a birthday gift. He and Master chatted during the afternoon, and in the evening, when the prefect withdrew, Master bathed. The following morning, wearing his new silk robe, he received the prefect saying, "The old monk of the mountain is leaving. Thank you for the protection you have given the Dharma." Prefect Chang, in tears, protested, "You're not going to leave. I am the boss of this region, and I say that you may not leave." Master smiled and again thanked the prefect. At noon, after the prefect departed, Master bathed for the last time as the monks assembled, chanting the Buddha's name. After he put on fresh garments, he received the monks, saying, "Don't be frightened. follow the Buddhist custom. No grieving, no weeping, with one mind repeat the Buddha's name. In the middle of the afternoon, still sitting upright, Master Hanshan quietly died. The birds of Kaoji cried mournfully, echoing our sorrow. When the monks of Shan Mountain learned of Master's death, they petitioned several high officials to order that the remains be returned to them. This order was issued, and Master Hanshan's body was placed in a coffin. And on the 21st day of the first month, calendar is a little different, that would have been February 1625, he was taken from Kaoji. At Shan Mountain, Bhikshu Fu Shang erected a stupa hall in which the coffin was placed so that all could come and pay their respects to the master. Later, Prefect Chen Wu Jin of Nankang selected a gravesite in a shady but wet place, and the coffin was interred. 11 years later, the mountain was infested with tigers. People grumbled that this misfortune had been caused by the failure of the monks to bury the master's remains in a proper site. The coffin was then disinterred, at which time it was discovered that much of the wood had been eaten by ants. No one wanted to place the coffin in the ground again, and so it was left in the stupa. After another 9 years had passed, 1643, the Minister of Rites, Chen Zhu Chong of Lingna, who had been the master's disciple, sent money and a formal letter requesting that the remains be returned to Kaoji. Though the damage to the coffin was extensive, the master remains were still intact. He still sat upright in the lotus posture. It was decided to follow the Indian custom of plastering the body with sandalwood dust, making it appear to have been lacquered. This was done with the sixth patriarch. Supposedly his body was plastered over, and you can see photos of you see the sixth patriarch sitting upright hundreds of years after his death. It was plastered over with sandalwood dust, making it appear to be lacquered. Years earlier, when Master Hanshan had lived in Kaoji, a seamstress who was one of his devoted followers made him a magnificent silk robe, which she had embroidered with 1,000 Buddhas, each set in the niche of appliqued silk. The master died before she completed the robe, and so he had never gotten to see it. It was reverently stored in the monastery treasure room. At last the monks at Kaoji were able to place this splendid robe upon his body. The master was then enshrined in Hanshan Hall, where thousands came to venerate him. And that is the end of his autobiography. So a few of the maxims of Master Hanshan. So it was placed in Hanshan Hall. So at Kaoji, the sixth patriarch's monastery, they named a hall after Hanshan, this Ming Dynasty teacher. So some of the maxims. Subtitled From Journey to Dreamland, which is one of the texts he had written. Journey to Dreamland. When we preach the Dharma to those who see only the ego's illusory world, we preach in vain. We might as well preach to the dead. How foolish are they who turn away from what is real and true and lasting, and instead pursue the fleeting glimpses of the physical world, shapes that are mere reflection in the ego's mirror. Not caring to peer beneath the surfaces, deluded beings are content to snatch at images. They think the material world's ever-flowing energy can be modified into permanent forms that they can name and value these forms, and then, like great lords, exert dominion over them. Material things are like dead things, and the ego cannot vivify them. As the great Lord is by his very identity attached to his kingdom, the ego, when it attaches itself to material objects, presides over a realm of the dead. The Dharma is for the living. The permanent cannot abide in the ephemeral. True and lasting joy can't be found in the ego's world. of changing illusion. No one can drink the water of a mirage. Then there are also those who, claiming enlightenment, insist that they understand the non-substantial nature of reality. Boasting that the disease of materialism cannot infect them, they try to improve their immunity by carefully shunning all earthly enjoyments. But they too are in the dark. Neither are they correct who dedicate themselves to exposing the fraud of every sensory object they encounter. True, perceptions of material objects give rise to wild desires in the heart. True, once it is understood how essentially worthless such apparent objects are, wild desires are reduced to timid thoughts. But we may not limit our spiritual practice to the discipline of dispelling illusion. There is more to the Dharma than understanding the nature of reality. This is a point about, I think, our character, about maturing. It's not just having experiences. It's about growing up as a human being. How do those experiences change us, give us the confidence to live with greater joy and compassion and equanimity, and bring that into the world in our ordinary life? What is the best way to sever attachment to material things? First, we need a good sharp sword, a sword of discrimination, that one that cuts through appearances to expose the real. We begin by making a point of noticing how quickly we become dissatisfied with material things, and how soon our sensory pleasures also fade into discontent. With persistent awareness, we sharpen and hone this sword. Before long, we find that we seldom have to self-consciously use it. We've cut down all old desires and new ones don't dare to bother us. True Dharma seekers who live in the world use their daily activity as a polishing tool. Outwardly, they may appear to be very busy, like flint striking steel, making sparks everywhere, but inwardly, they silently grow. For although they may be working very hard, they are working for the sake of the work and not for the profits it will bring them. Unattached to the results of their labor, they transcend the frenetic to reach the way's essential tranquility. Doesn't a rough and tumbling stream also sparkle like striking flints while it polishes into smoothness every stone in its path? In the ego's world of illusions, all things are in flux, but continuous change is constant chaos. When the ego sees itself at the center of so much swirling activity, it cannot experience cosmic harmony. For example, what the ego considers to be a devastating hurricane is, as far as the universe is concerned, a perfectly natural event, a link in the endless chain of cause and effect. The universe, having no ego, continues its existence without rendering judgments about hurricanes or ocean breezes. When we are empty of ego, we too can carry on in calm acceptance of life's varying events. When we seek making prejudicial distinctions, gentle or harsh, beautiful or ugly, good or bad, a peaceful stillness will permeate the mind. If there's no ego, there is no agitation. But of course, this doesn't mean one is then free to do anything. Ethics, morality, is extremely important. Living through the precepts and in light of the precepts becomes a very serious responsibility, the deeper our experience of vast emptiness might become. Our mind and body are by nature pure, but we sully them with certain kinds of thoughts and deeds. In order to restore ourselves to original purity, we need only to clean away the accumulated dirt. But how do we proceed with the cleansing process? Do we put a barrier between us and the occasions of our bad habits? Do we remove ourselves from places of temptation? No, we cannot claim victory by avoiding battle. The enemy is not our surroundings, it is in ourselves. We have to confront ourselves and try to understand our ordinary human weaknesses. We have to take an honest look at ourselves, at our relationships and our possessions, and ask what all our self-indulgence has gotten gotten us? Has it brought us happiness? Surely not. If we're ruthlessly honest, we'll have to admit that it was our own foolish egotism that soiled us. This admission is painful to make. Well, if we want to melt ice, we have to apply heat. The hotter the fire, the quicker the ice melts. So it is with wisdom. The more intense our scrutiny, the quicker we attain wisdom. When we grow large in wisdom, our old egotistical self gets small. The contest gets to be over. There are times when we act with unshakable faith in the Dharma, even though we don't understand the situation we're in. There are other times when we understand our situation, but are afraid to be completely faithful. In one instance, we have heart, and in the other, we have mind. We must put these two together, understanding and faith. With one small fulcrum, a lever can move tons of weight. With one greedy thought, years of integrity can be corrupted. A greedy thought is the seed of fear and confusion. It will grow wildly. The material gain that a greedy act brings is a small gain indeed. What is that? One may gain the world and lose one's soul. Certainly Macbeth found that out. Gain the world and lose one's soul. Seems many people still having to figure that one out. To act without greed and lose some material benefit is also, therefore, a small loss. But to lose one's integrity, that is an immense loss. The enlightened person stands in awe of the fulcrum. What do people strive for? Money or fame or successful relationships or the Dharma? Well, one man may become very rich, but be hated by his family. Another man may be loved by everyone, but not have a penny to his name. Still a third man may be hailed as a hero by his countrymen, and find himself with neither funds nor loving family. Usually so much effort is put into achieving one goal that the other goals cannot be attained. Roshi Kapleau had a wonderful saying, I'm not sure where he got it. To attain a certain goal, you have to become a certain person. But once you become that certain person, you no longer need to attain that goal. But what about the man who strives to attain the Dharma? If he succeeds, he has gained in that one goal far more than the other three combined. He who has Dharma lacks nothing. He who has happiness in his life lacks nothing. Put a fish on land, and he will remember the ocean until he dies. Put a bird in a cage, but he will not forget the sky. Each remains homesick for his true home, the place where his nature has decreed that he should be. Put a fish on land, and he will remember the ocean until he dies. Put a bird in a cage, but he will not forget the sky. Man is born in the state of innocence. His original nature is love and grace and purity, yet he emigrates so casually without even a thought of his old home. Is this not sadder than the fishes and the birds? Those who pursue money are always rushed, always busy with urgent matters. Those who pursue the Dharma go slow and easy. Boring, you say? Maybe. Maybe it's downright dreary to stop and smell a flower or listen to a bird. Maybe a glint of gold is really more dazzling than the sight of one's original face. Maybe what we need is a better definition of what is treasure. The heart's weather should always be clear, always sunny and calm. The only time the weather could turn bad is when clouds of lust and attachment form. These always bring storms of worry and confusion. A single speck in the eye blurs good vision. We see double or triple images. A single dirty thought confounds a rational mind. Many errors in judgment can arise from it. A dirty thought really means a self-centered, a totally self-centered me, mine. If you were at the teishos in this last Jataka session, the last one was on the Bodhisattva as a monkey who gets stolen, kidnapped, abducted from his home by a woodsman and given to the king as a gift who loves monkeys. Anyway, he finally gets released and goes back home, and all the monkeys want to know what it was like living with human beings. And he goes, no, 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 I really don't want to talk about it. And they beg him and beg him. Finally, he says, all right, I'll tell you, but I'll only tell you once because it's really horrible. He says, everywhere I went, people say, mine, mine. They see a tree and they go, my tree. They see a child, my child. They see a mango, my mango. Everything is dirtied with this me, mine, I, me, mine. All the monkeys are so horrified. They just hearing this, they go, oh, we've had this wonderful place in the jungle where we've gathered for lifetimes, all our monkey ancestors. It's now so stained and spoiled by just hearing about this me, mine, and I. We'll never be able to gather here again. And they go running off into the jungle and choose a new place to gather. A single dirty thought confounds a rational mind. Many errors in judgment arise from it. Remove that speck and see clearly. Remove that dirty thought and think clearly. Great accomplishments are composed of minute details. Those who succeed in attaining the whole have attended carefully to each tiny part. Those who fail have ignored or taken too lightly what they deemed to be insignificant. The enlightened person overlooks nothing. Interesting. I'm thinking about now being a grandparent. The enlightened person. You ever see like a 1-year-old? They overlook nothing. Everything is 100% interesting, completely, totally. No holding back. It's exhausting to be around them. They overlook nothing. The enlightened person overlooks nothing. Why are certain material objects so treasured? A gem is virtually useless, and a gilded scabbard is no better than a plain one. Man decides that gold is valuable because it is rare and enduring and brilliant. He then thinks that if he possesses gold, he himself will become rare or unique, that his individual worth will endure, and he also will be considered a rather brilliant fellow. The White House, covered in gold toilets, gold ornaments. What a poverty. What a poverty of mind, of heart, of spirit it reflects. How pitiful. Those who live that brilliant, so obsessed he may become with these foolish notions that in trying to obtain gold, he will destroy the very life he is trying to embellish. He will destroy the very life he is trying to embellish. In the darkness of delusion, the unenlightened believe they can glorify themselves by reflecting the qualities they have assigned to their possessions. My gosh, are we in the midst of this? Those who live the enlightened life readily discern that the qualities of an object are not transferred to its possessor. A heap of treasures piled in their path will not obstruct their vision. They can see right through them. Gold in the pocket is not gold in the character. Boy, that's a great bumper sticker, isn't it? Gold in the pocket is not gold in the character. Gold in the toilet is not gold in the character. Jesus, can you think of a more blatant image of stupidity? Let me shit on a golden toilet and I will be very special. Look at people who keep tigers as pets. Even while they're laughing and playing with them, in the back of their minds, they're afraid the pet will suddenly turn on them. They never forget how dangerous tigers are. But what about people who lust after possessions, indulging themselves with one acquisition after another? They may remain completely unaware of any danger. Yet the tiger can only eat a man's flesh. Greed can devour the soul. In the Jataka Sesshin, I mentioned a Jataka tale in which the Buddha himself has to learn this lesson. Doesn't mean anyone's immune to it. We all have to learn how to grow up. So in this one Jataka tale, he's a little jackal. And he comes upon the body of a dead elephant. And he eats his way into it. And for a while, he lives inside the dead elephant. He's living in a house of meat. He can just lie there and chew away, and the rain can fall, and he's safe and comfortable, and just living in a house of meat. I mean, could anything be better? But as the carcass dries, it begins to shrink and harden. And after a while, he's, excuse me, eating all the meat he can get on the inside like that from where he is, and he tries to leave. And he finds that the carcass has shrunk so much he can't get out the way he chewed his way in. The hide is all tightened up and shriveled. So he keeps trying and trying and trying, and eventually he has to squeeze himself out the dead elephant's anus. And a lot of his hair gets pulled off in the process. There he is, hairless and shivering, the Buddha in a past life. And he realizes, maybe greed is not such a good idea. And it changes him, this personal experience. Interesting how the Jataka tales are very humble about revealing the Buddha's process toward wisdom. Not so special, just a person or a being maturing through countless lifetimes. Yet the tiger can only eat a man's flesh. Greed can devour his soul. It is easier to do the right thing when we know what the right thing to do is. We can't rely simply on instinct to find the way. We need guidance. That's something that came up in this session as well, the importance of a teacher, of how important it is. What's so amazing about the Buddha Shakyamuni is that in this world cycle, he did it entirely on his own, entirely on his own. Full and complete, not just enlightenment, but full and complete actualization of every potential for good of the human mind, all knowledge, all wisdom, all virtue. Just as a sheer minor way of looking at this, think of going through the entire koan curriculum correctly without any teacher and just doing it one after the other, nailing it every time. And you realize how impossible that is. And then think of how much we all owe our teachers, how it would be impossible to keep going and maturing without the guidance of a teacher and without the guidance they received from their teachers, and so on and on and on. How much people have worked to help one another to grow up, and how important that realization is, and how we indeed live our lives trying to be helpful as well. But once we are shown the path and begin to climb it, we find that each step up we grow in wisdom and fortitude and confidence. Confidence and faith emerge from experience in Zen. It's not like we have to have this total belief, and if we don't, we fail. It's that our confidence and our faith in what the Buddha said, and what the teachers say, and what the tradition says, grows as we practice it and begin to realize, that is kind of true, isn't it? Each step up, we grow in wisdom and fortitude. Looking down, we see how many of our old desires have fallen dead on the wayside. They look so feeble, lying there, we wonder why we ever thought we lacked the courage to resist them. The mountain of wisdom is different from other mountains. The higher we climb, the stronger we go or grow. This is so interesting. Hakuin, this is around 1600, so Hakuin was 150 or so years later, said Buddhism is like the ocean. The further you go into it, the deeper it gets. It's like a mountain. The more you climb it, the higher it gets. Do one or two more. People are always looking for the easy way, the hard way, the way learned by difficult experience and painful realization doesn't interest them. They want a shortcut. True Dharma seekers are afraid of shortcuts. They know better. They know that without effort, there's no sense of accomplishment. It's that sense that keeps them going. People who don't appreciate the struggles of climbing lack understanding of where they've been, awareness of who they are, and determination to continue climbing. That's why they never attain the Dharma. What are the two most common goals for people who live in the world? Wealth and fame. To gain these goals, people are willing to lose everything, including the health of their body, their mind, and spirit. Not a very good exchange, is it? Wealth and fame, if it means giving up the health of your body, the health of your own mind, the health of your own spirit. Worldly wealth and fame fade so quickly that we wonder which will last longer, the money, the fame, or the person. But consider the goal of enlightenment, the goal of enlightenment, of attaining the wealth of the Dharma. Those who reach this goal are vigorous in body, keen in mind, serene in spirit, right into eternity. That is, right into death. We mature into eternity. There are people, though, who, though having accomplished nothing, connive to receive great honors or high positions of authority. Listen to that. There are people who, though having accomplished nothing, connive to receive great honors or high positions of authority. President, Nobel Prize. A king receives loyalty because his people regard him as noble. If they decide he's acting badly, he may lose more than his throne. Those who are rich in the Dharma and noble in the Buddha's way always retain their wealth and the fealty of the people. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. There are people who, though having accomplished nothing, connive to receive great honors or high positions of authority. Well, people who gain high rank without having earned it are like rootless trees. They live in fear that even the slightest wind will topple them. Undeserved honor is a preface to disgrace. Let me repeat that one. Right now, so many things are being done to upset our normal sense of humanity, our sense of caring, our sense of hope and faith in human beings, goodness. It's happening every day, just impossible things. This is a sign of weakness and fear on the part of people in power. They know that the national will is actually against them, but they can't allow elections and concentrated attention. And so every day, horrible things are done as distractions. But this is a sign of fear. There are people who, though having accomplished nothing, connive to receive great honors or high positions of authority. Well, people who gain rank without having earned it are like rootless trees. They live in fear that even the slightest wind will topple them. Undeserved honor is a preface to disgrace. We could go on. That was 22, and I think there are probably about 100. But I think we'll stop here. We'll recite our great vows for all, and then Rose and I will prepare, and perhaps you will too, to head off to one of the No Kings celebrations. It's more than a protest, it's a celebration. Here in Rochester, perhaps there's something where you are as well.